Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Autopsy of Her, Healing, Evolving Resiliency. I hope that you all have had a wonderful holiday weekend, safe, blessed, and that you all had some time to relax and woosah with yourselves and with your family and your friends. And if you didn't, then I guess you need to find some time at the rest of this week that's going on, right? I am Iris Owens, your host, and on the line with me is my beautiful sister and co-host. Good morning, honey bunny. How are you?
Good morning, honey bunny. How you doing?
I'm
Stephanie
doing
D.
wonderful.
That's great. Good morning,
Yes.
everyone.
Good
Yes.
morning, honey bunnies.
Good morning, honey bunny. You are our official third honey bunny.
All
Exactly.
right. Yes. Yes.
Good morning, Tootie. And ladies and
Good
gentlemen, we
morning.
want to welcome back Tootie, who was with us last week. And so we are going to really today jump in again, right? Because last week, and not Tootie, I want to tell you, so your time with us was very eye-opening, very enlightening, but very
Good.
inspirational. Your episode has been one of our most highly now watched episodes.
Oh,
Last
okay.
time I checked, it was like 125 views, and that was last week. So I don't even know how many folks has rolled through since then. So we wanted to have you back, and you wanted to come back because there were still some things that we wanted to talk about and wanted to address. And so we are so happy that you are back with us this morning, and we are going to jump in and get ready to go. So I know that you said
this.
that.
It's been some inspiration to us.
I know that you mentioned that there were some things you wanted to clarify, and then
Yes.
we're also going to spend some time today. What we're going to talk about are kind of we talked about the physical of having, the kind of the journey of having 5 children, but we're going to dive in today about talking about what that meant for you, right? Emotionally, spiritually, and how it impacted how you did what you did in life and how you
Right.
basically are now here today able to talk about this. So feel
Right.
free to start wherever you'd like to start.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say I'm glad that I reached some people, and that's actually the purpose of me doing the interview, not to kind of like highlight myself, but it's something that's delayed. It's something that I should have did years ago. And if you're keeping a whole bunch of stuff inside you, experiences and things that you've had, how can you help somebody? So I got some feedback from some people. Oh, you told too much. I wouldn't have said that. Then this story is not for you.
Amen, sis.
This story is not for you. And
Yes.
it's going to reach, this story is going to reach the people that it's supposed to reach.
Amen.
Okay?
Exactly.
Amen.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm hoping for. That not only young ladies, but also young men that are having all these kids, shirking their responsibility, running from the truth. Also adults that are still maybe doing the same thing.
Yes.
Because I still suffer with some things I used to do in my past that I'm still.
Wait, you froze 1 second. Uh-oh. What happened?
We don't make the changes that you made along the way, just to let you see, what path that I took, and the things that happened to me, of some consequences of my past and some consequences of my own actions. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that in there for everybody that don't like what I say. I don't care. Okay.
Well,
I don't care. I'm a for real people. People tell me I talk too much, but if I'm talking, I'm trying to say something. And what I'm trying to do right now is reach the people that need to hear this message. Okay.
And Tootie, that's the beautiful
thing. Your healing. Your revealing is your healing.
That's right. It helps me too. It helps me to talk about it. I don't care if it's a Black girl, a white girl, Chinese girl. Somebody is going through this in every single nationality.
Absolutely.
And they need to hear it.
Absolutely. And you know what, Tootie, we call that, on here, first of all, when people are, and they go, oh, you said too much, or we call those pearl clutchers. We call those pearl clutches. And so, like you said, if you can't handle it, it's okay. But you can't tell somebody how to tell their story.
It's still my story.
Right. These are my shoes. These are my stories. And so you don't get to tell me my narrative. This is why we want to tell our own story, so that someone can't put a spin on our life and what our experiences are.
No, that's right.
And we also say, you were talking about, you have some things in your life. So we call that that's when the skeletons come out of the closet and chase you all around the room. And so, when you're having those experiences, that's a great indication that there's some things that you need to lighten your load of. You need to lighten your heart and your soul and your spirit of, because those are the things that keep us bounded and thinking that we can't do anymore, we can't move anymore, we can't be any more than what we are. And we start to put labels on ourselves, and that's not a healthy thing to do.
Right.
So tell us, Tootie, you said that you wanted to definitely, put some other information, you wanted to share some other things.
Right.
So you have the floor. We are all ears.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let y'all know this is not scripted, but I do have few things that I did write down because my memory's not like it used to be. And I wanted to clarify one thing I said in my last interview. First of all, when I said my mom put me in a mental institution, okay? When I actually was 16, got pregnant when I was 15, so when I was 16. So after I did the interview, I thought about all the things that I had said. And I realized that when I said those words, my mom put me in a mental institution, that I was still talking from that 16-year-old girl. Okay. This is a story I have told throughout my life, but it just never clicked that actually was not the truth. Okay. The situation happened, but what actually happened was, when I, that's not like that. What happened was, not, this is the truth.
What happened was, I love you too. I love you.
So what happened was, I had taken all these pills. As I told you, I had heart trouble when I was young. I had taken all these pills. I probably took about 10 or 11 of them. And my mom called the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital. And then what they did was, in California, which is where I'm actually from, they called it a 5150. Here in Florida, they call it a Baker Act. I don't know what they call it here in, I don't know what they called it in New Jersey, but that's actually what they did.
The 72-hour hold. It's a 72-hour hold.
Yeah, but it has a code. Every state has a different code for it.
Right. So they 5150'd me, and when I took those pills, there was this lady that stayed with us, and she had drank a bunch of alcohol. And so they took her there, okay? And you know how I told you my kids ran around when I was like working all the time or off on drugs, trying to find a mother. So she was home with us all the time. And she became like a friend to me. So she left. So when I took that medication, my mom said, I'm just going to say Betty. My mom said, oh, you want to be with Betty? I'm going to send you where Betty is, right? So she knew what was going to happen to me, but I didn't. So they sent me and they took me up to this mental ward, and I saw Miss Betty, right? And I was so happy to be in there with Miss Betty. But then after I was there about 2 weeks, she went home.
Miss Betty was like, bye, baby. I got to go.
And you know what the bad thing about it was? She didn't even tell me she was leaving.
Miss Betty said, baby, this is not a vacation. This is not a hotel.
I just looked up and she was gone. So there I was there with all these people. And that's when everything like really kicked in, because she was kind of like a protection, a guard up for me in there, you know. So then I was there left with all these people, you know, who, you know, basically they were mentally ill, you know. So anyway, and that's how I got to what I call the mental institution. But the basic truth was, I was on the 12th floor in the psychiatric ward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
And what happened was my mom just didn't come get me.
Right.
Okay.
Because you did say last week that you could have left anytime you wanted to.
But I didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know that until I got discharged. They was like, oh, you could have left anytime you want to. So my mom probably knew that too, but she just didn't come get me. She said, I'm going to teach you a lesson. Okay. So, and believe me, it was a good lesson. And then hence, after a while, I needed to stay there and, you know, to do that quote unquote abortion that I was supposed to get. So then after I was there for a while, then they was holding me for that. And, you know, that never happened. So, okay. So that's one story. And then the second story I wanted to tell you about was, remember I told you I was bullied when I was younger? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you said, oh, no, why everybody bully you? You're so nice. Okay. Well, now, not only did they call me a skag and think I was ugly, I wore a wig. Okay. I wore a wig from like the kindergarten to the, I'm going to say like the 8th grade. Yeah, it actually was the 8th grade because that's when I had that fight that I told you about. And I went in the house, I took the wig off and I went in the house, I did my hair and I sat on the porch and I'm like, okay, I'm going to dare somebody come mess with me now, right? But I wore that wig throughout school and my whole life I lived with people trying to pull my wig off, okay? That was
so why did you wear the wig?
Why would you wear a wig so young?
Why were you wearing a wig?
My mom wanted me to wear it. And it wasn't even at the beginning of kindergarten. I'm going to say actually it probably started happening like maybe like when I was like in the 1st or 2nd grade, I had to wear it all the time. But first it was like sometime, but then I had to wear it like every day to school. Okay. And, you know, I don't know, you guys probably had long hair when you were younger, but I used to have these big plaits in my hair. You know, you see them on the old movies. That's
yes.
And I didn't think anything was wrong with my hair. But my mom, I guess she had a complex about it. She used to take me to New York, pick out wigs for me. Here I am, this little teeny weeny little kid.
Really?
She took me to this lady's house one day and had this lady praying over my head.
Because it's for you girls, and only you had to wear the wig, or everybody?
Just me. Yeah, just me. Mm-hmm. I always had the shortest hair in my family. You know.
Did you ever ask your mom why she made you wear the wigs?
No, but I used to tell her I didn't want to wear it, but she used to make me wear it anyway. Okay.
Wow.
So I wore
what style wig was it? What style wig was
all
it?
kind. Remember the Supremes was out and they used to wear their hair to the side like that. I had a wig like that. I had a little short bob wig, just all kind. It was never long hair, but it's always some type of short little stylish wig, but it was like too stylish for a little kid. Okay.
Wow. So is that what caused the other kids to bully and tease you? Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Every single school I went through, I just lived a life of people trying to pull off my wig. Even one of my brothers, when we used to fight all the time. And as soon as we fight, that was his thing. Snatch that wig off. That's the first thing he could do that he can know that could really hurt me. So what I used to do is, you know those bobby pins? I started off with just a few, put one in here, put one here, put one here. Honey, sometimes I would have like 2 whole packs of bobby pins.
It's a lot coming to pack.
Wow.
Bobby pins in my hair. And one time they was running up on me and they just couldn't get that wig off. And they did not understand why. It's because I had so many bobby pins in my head. It was crazy. So one time when I was in the 4th grade, the teacher said I couldn't wear the wig anymore because they just humiliated me so much. So I went home, told my mom. Matter of fact, they called my mom to the school and told her she cannot wear that wig anymore. Okay. So I came to school the next day and I had these little 3 mammy-made braids in my head, right? Excuse me. And I stood out in the hallway so long crying because I didn't want to go in the classroom because I didn't want people to see my hair. So finally the teacher came in and she got me and she brought me to the classroom and boy, the class just fell out. So then I just sat down in my seat and I started crying. But after a while, it just became the norm. This was my hair and this was it. So when I was in the 4th grade, we actually went to 3 schools, okay, in the 4th grade. So we left that school and we moved to another school. And then I had to start wearing a wig again. So I wore the wig up until the 8th grade. And that's when I just decided I wasn't going to wear it anymore. And I used to straighten my hair out. I used to make me a little straight afro, you know, thinking I was cute. And then my hair just wouldn't grow. I had this boyfriend that lived downstairs. Well, he wasn't my boyfriend, actually. Sorry, y'all. He was kind of like my sister's boyfriend. I like my sister's boyfriend. And he took me downstairs to his house one day and he cut my hair. He cut my hair, and I had started wearing my hair cut ever since I was like 14. So that's how I started. So now, if I want some hair, like even when I was about 17 or 18, I start wearing wigs again. You know, the Afro wig, the Afro puffs.
Right,
but it was because I wanted to.
Right.
I thought I looked.
Now you're of age to wear a wig too.
Yes.
I wanted to do. I didn't think anything was wrong with my hair. You know, so, but I always kept a little short bob cut, you know, with different short hairstyles and stuff like that. And then, I still was cute. So.
I am just fascinated because I'm just like, so you have 3 sisters, you said?
No, I actually have 4 sisters.
You have 4 sisters.
5 sisters. 5.
But you were the only one made to wear a wig? And
yes.
There was no explanation as to why.
Right. Mm-hmm. I actually grew up with 3 sisters, but I actually have 2 more. Yeah, I was the only one made to wear the wig. Just me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Just me. So I'm tell you another little quick story. When I was older, and I moved to California, I used to look out the window, and the kids used to walk to school. And I used to see this little girl walking by. She was about 7 years old. I used to watch her every single day walking to school. And she had a wig on. And that brought back so many flashbacks. And I just couldn't stand to see her walking by with that wig on. And hers was like long. It wasn't even a short wig. It was a long wig. Well, she had long ones and short ones. But anyway, it just used to hurt me to see her walk by because I knew the ridicule that she was going through every day at 7 years old with that wig on. So one day, I brought her in my house. I went and bought some braids, and I braided her hair. Okay? I braided her hair, and I sent her home, and she is still in my life to this day.
Oh my gosh.
Still in my life to this day. I love her to death. But when I saw her, she was like a reflection of me walking by. I was like, oh no, I just cannot watch this any longer. And I braided her hair for her.
And her mom never said anything?
No, her mom became my friend.
That's so crazy. Wow.
Now, none of your daughters, your daughter, because you have 2 daughters, like, they never wore wigs. You don't put wigs on.
Oh, no. No, I used to braid their hair, though, but then they never, no, I wouldn't put that curse on them. No.
Wow. Okay.
That's very interesting.
That is interesting. I was bald for a long time, but then I guess I eventually my hair, but I was just going to be bald. My baby was bald for a long time, too. She was going to be bald till she grew hair grew. She wouldn't wear no wig, though.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So I say all these sisters' mothers that got these kids wearing them wigs, take them wigs off of them, okay?
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a long time, even with from the time that young kids were putting the synthetic hair in their head and they're too young, chewing on the hair. It was causing gastro problems because they're chewing on this hair and the hair is getting into their intestines. Oh my God. So yes, let children be children and let us not do that to our children. So can we talk go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, one more thing to clarify. I had said that I had used drugs up until like my 40s, but actually when I actually got clean was when I had that experience with the lady in the hospital.
Yes.
And I was in 1990. I was actually 35 years old.
Okay.
I was 35 years old. And then I had like I'm going to say 1, but I'm going to give myself credit because I can't remember back then. Then I had like a 2-year binge after that of still smoking weed. And most of the time, my drug use consisted of smoking weed, but I just did other things, so other things, all the things I had told you about before. So those are the things I wanted to clarify,
Okay.
What I I wanted to ask you, what made you move to California? Like, what was that? Why did you move to California?
I moved to California because I had always wanted to get out of Dodge. I had got tired of looking at all that rubbish from the riots in the 60s. It was always there. There was so much crime. And I used to walk around and I used to be alone a lot, except for all these guy friends and stuff like that. But when I had my solitude time, I was always thinking, there's got to be someplace else that looks pretty. There got to be someplace else in this world that I could go and that I could run to and have a whole different life. So and especially when I started working at the airport, I seen all these people traveling. I'm like, I just got to get out of here. Right. And then I had a godmother, that's a whole nother story, that had a apartment next to me, and she moved to California. And she came back to visit the next year. She tried to get me to go where I wouldn't go. And then she came back again. And she said, if you give me some money, I could find you a place in California. I gave her $75. And 2 weeks later, she said she had a house for me. And that's how I got to California.
Wow.
Just to get out of the hood, the ghetto, and have something better for myself and my kids. And I'm so glad I did, because if I didn't, I really believe, if I didn't, I really believe I wouldn't be alive now. Matter of fact, I know I wouldn't. So God worked it out. I got to California because that's where God wanted me to be. Okay, that's how I got to California.
Was it all that you, when you first got, was it all that you desired for it to be?
It was totally different. It was just like what happened when I came here. I cried every day for like 3 months. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was stuck out in the country. I ain't seen no buses, no cabs, but I didn't know the buses was on strike. The cabs was out of the city of Riverside. So I didn't know. But then after I moved down the street from a whole bunch of people from New Jersey like me. And after I started to get to know people, then I decided that these people are about something. I mean, a lot of them still are drugs, but these people are about something. They motivated. They going to school, they work, and that's what saved me. Being around some motivating people. So then I decided, hey, this is a good thing that I moved here. So I changed my life, So I changed some of my life. I still wasn't perfect. Okay.
Well, we will never be perfect, because when we're perfect, that means it's over.
Right? Exactly. So it's over.
When we become perfect, that means it's over. So, so Tootie, in the sense of, I'm going to say, so mental maturity at 15, we are far from mental maturity, but you were a mother at 15, and you were parenting children at that age and continued on until you were 21. Now, even though you said stuff like, sometimes they got away from me based on what you may have been doing in life, whether it was working or you were socializing, whatever that may have been, but your children are all well, and you have, sounds like, a great relationship with them, because in reading comments, I love when she was like, Mom, you did a great job, and I love that. And I was like, your children are proud of you, right? And they have obviously learned a lot from you. How did you manage, like, from that point of knowing you, because you said you planned to have your first child.
Right.
And then after that, did you plan those other children, or that was just that the natural thing was occurring of, if you're having sex, you eventually or may get pregnant? How do you view that?
Well, I planned the first one, but I'm going to tell you, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Okay. All I saw was having a little baby. I didn't think about the baby going to grow up. They're going to need shoes. They're going to need clothes, food. They're going to be adults. That, in my 15-year-old mind, I don't know why, I couldn't see past just having a little baby that I could rock and say, oh, she's so cute, that's mine. So that one planned, but the other one, they were all just in the course of not protecting myself, having sex, and getting pregnant. So emotionally, when I had my first child, well, let me go back to with my mom. My mom worked all the time. So I was always babysitting, always changing diapers, always feeding kids. So I kind of, and my mom really didn't help. You know, she just basically said, do this, do that, do this, do that. So I kind of knew what to do as far as like, you know, the caring for the child. I knew that part, okay? But I didn't know how the caring for the child was going to affect me emotionally. Like when I had my first daughter and I realized that she was going to be waking up all night crying. Oh man, I was crying with her.
My mother said that's the best way to do it.
I was crying with her. I was like, oh, go to sleep. I'm sleepy.
You're right.
Too, that's when you explain to the, like, I wanted you just to back up for a minute, to explain to the audience, you was like how you would take care of kids, whatever. So explain, like, because your siblings, what number you are, and why you were taking care of the kids.
Okay, out of the kids that, you know, I was raised with, I was the second oldest. You know, I was the second oldest. And like I said, my mom always worked. My sister, well, we had babysitters, but I would always be the one to run them away and they wouldn't come back. So my mom stopped getting babysitters. That was, I mean, the last one ran out the house without her shoes on. Okay.
My mom was terrorizing the babysitters.
That was the babysitter.
Oh my.
And it was me. It was just me. So, well, my other sister and brothers probably was too, but my older sister, she was in charge too, but I never would listen to her. Never. So it was kind of like I was in charge. I did what I wanted to do. And then when we got older, like when I had my kids, my first two kids, I actually raised two of my little brothers too. So it was actually like I had 4 kids home. I had my kid in diapers. My mom's kid just got out of diapers, but they still was, you know, younger. I think my oldest child maybe like 3 years younger than my oldest brother, your husband. Your
ex-husband.
What do you call him again?
My husband.
My husband, right.
I know. He said they were 2 years apart. But but then
they're 2 years apart. Okay,
that's what he always said. That's what he said about y'all, like they're like 2 years apart.
I don't know. I think they're 3 years apart. Yeah, I think they're 3 years apart. So, but anyway, so
explain to them that it's like 9. What was 9 of you guys right there in the house. So that's why you missed the baby.
Yeah, so I was always cooking, cleaning. We all had to cook and clean, except for like the little younger ones and the boys. They really weren't responsible for too much except running the streets, playing sports and stuff. But the girls, we always had to clean and cook. And then once I got to be a teenager and had the kids, well, my older sister, she went to school. She was smart. She was like, I ain't staying home watching all them kids. So it was like my responsibility, because once I started having babies, my mom stopped making me go to school, you know, I guess because then I could stay home, watch her kids too. So I only actually went to school with my first daughter when I got pregnant with her. That's because she was premature and the hospital was right down the street from the school. And the school would give us bus tickets to go to school. So I had to leave her in the hospital. So I would just go to school, get the bus tickets, and then go to the hospital and stay there with her for 2. She was in the hospital for like 2 months when she was born. So, but so that's how I started raising all these kids, because I was, knowing how to, the process of actually physically taking care of a kid, because mentally I didn't know, you know. Right. So it's because I also had to help with my younger sisters and brothers also.
All your siblings.
Right.
Yes. So. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, you keep me on track. Go ahead.
No, so I was just going to say, so between baby 1, 2, 3, there's a year difference, right?
Yeah, 15, baby 1, 2, and 3. I was pregnant 3 years straight in a row.
Right. Okay. And then is that when you then moved and you had your own place?
No, I got my own place when I had the first one. Okay. I actually was pregnant when my mom found the place for me. I actually was pregnant and I had I had him actually when I was in that place.
Okay.
And that was really kind of lonely because then I was all alone just with the kids. You know, I didn't have like my sisters and brothers, you know, to take them in their room and things like that. So, but emotionally, when I look back on it, you know, I thought like I was a happy mother, but I was emotionally a wreck. I was sad a lot because I knew there was a lot of things. I would look out the window and I would see kids going to school, and I knew that I couldn't go because I had these kids at home, so I couldn't go. When it was time to graduate, I couldn't go to the prom, you know, so these are some things that you have a good family support, you can still have your kids and still, because I know a lot of people that have achieved really, really great things, you know, straight from high school, went straight through high school because they had that support, you know, that still allowed them to have these babies and go to school and do what go to college and things like that. And those are the things that I didn't have. I don't fault any parent for it, but just truth be told, those are the things I did not have. I didn't have somebody saying, oh, you need to get some goals. Oh, you need to get some dreams. Oh, you say you want to be a nurse. Well, you got to go to college. You got to do. I didn't have those things. All I had was, you know, you better have this food done when I get home from work and take care of these kids. And that's what I did. And while doing that process, this, just like I told you before, like my boyfriend just almost lived at the house with me.
Okay.
So, but emotionally, it was really, really bad. I didn't go out that much when I had the kids. It wasn't that I was embarrassed. It was like, I don't have a car, I don't know how to drive. How am I going to, you know, get all these kids around? So there was times that we did go out and I would have them all holding hands like a little train. And as I would walk down the street or get on the bus, all these people would be looking at me, pointing at me. Oh, look at that girl with all them kids. That's who I was known as, the girl with all the kids. Yeah, that girl with all them, girl with the 5 kids. And so even though I didn't do the things that I needed to do to protect myself, and I knew I had kind of like created this whole situation of having these kids, it still was kind of like emotional on me, you know. So I was sad. I was sad a lot. I did a whole bunch of crying. Sometimes I would like cry for days, but I still would do what I thought, you know, was my best to take care of my kids. You know?
So at what point do you think your maturity level, if it makes sense, started to match where you were in your life and what you had to do differently in order to move forward?
When I stopped using drugs. Okay. Gotcha. When I stopped using drugs, it was like a cloud was lifted out of my head. You know, I tell you about that song that I heard in the hospital in the mental ward, What's Going On. So when that cloud came out of my head, I was able to focus, refocus, even though when I was in my 20s, I started to think about my life and my pattern and everything, and I started to make some changes. I did go to school. Okay. When I moved to California, first I attempted to go to high school, you know, to get my high school diploma. Every time I go back to school, because I never finished, I always got to start all over, start from scratch. So I attempted to go to high school, and I went for a whole semester. And then I found out that I could go to college without a high school diploma. Okay. So I stopped going to high school, and I enrolled in RCC City College in Riverside, California. I enrolled there, and I started taking a lot of my elective classes. And I'm going to tell you, I still haven't finished. Okay. I ain't going to act like, oh, I got an AA and all the stuff. I still don't. But I took most of my elective. I took all of my real estate required class for my broker's license. I have all of those except 2, but I really had no desire to be a broker. And so once I started going to college, that's when my life really started to change, and I started to like refocus and start saying some things that I needed to do. Now, even though I did all that stuff, my kids still suffered the consequences of that, because then I was like, my mom is busy. So they were latchkey kids for a while, you know, and there were some times that I had some babysitters that I shouldn't have had, you know, but mostly they were latchkey kids a lot because I was always at work.
Yes. Got that. Yeah. I am, for me, listening to you, Tootie, is what life is, right? Life is what we make it. Right. And even when we have stumbled and we have fallen, the point is that we must get back up. And I love that about you, and that you don't blame anybody. You don't have any, you know, you're not like, oh, if my mother had done this, if my father had done this, if my boyfriend had done, you took on and you take on the responsibilities of your actions. And I think that's a lot of times where we get stuck. And I really love the fact that you don't make excuses. I think that's what it is. I've never heard you made an excuse in the times that we have spoken. You're like, I did this. These are the results of it, but this is what I did about it.
Right.
Right. And that's what we always, she owns it. And that's where I think when we don't own our own stuff is where we start to wallow, or we go down that rabbit hole because we refuse to own what we have done and realize that the same way you went down, you can find your way back up.
I'm gonna tell you, I've been in that rabbit hole. I've been in that rabbit hole a lot. But I always try, even being here, I've been in that rabbit hole. But I always try to come back out of it. You know, when I moved to California, and like I said, I met all these people and started going to school, but I still had some elements that still tried to keep me down and hold me back. And I stayed in that environment. When I moved to Canada, like I told you, I moved from down the street from a bunch of people from New Jersey. I got married to one of them, okay? I got married to them, and at that point in my story, I actually had 6 kids, okay? I had 5 naturally, but I actually had a 6th child because he had a child. Gotcha. So at that point, and he was the same age as my baby. So when I moved to California, my son was 9 months old. So now here I am. I got 2 9-month-old babies, and he is the vanilla fudge of my story. Okay, that's his name. He's the vanilla fudge of my story. I didn't have him long, but that's because of the relationship that I had with my husband. Okay, but I loved him like my own. I changed his diapers. I fed him. You know, I had him until he was walking. I basically was in this, I think I had him for like about 2.5 years. And some of it was off and on, because I had him on a constant basis. And there was at one point where his mom, I had left my husband because he used to like to fight, okay? So I had left him, and while I was gone, he had gave the baby back to his mother, okay? So when I came back, because I knew that I loved him and he was like my child. So I went back and I got him and took care of him again. And then I had moved from this city to another city, and we was always breaking up. We were always fighting. And I'm gonna tell you a result of that, that the young kids, young people, and these old ladies too, that's still letting people whoop on them, okay? Anyway, so we were always breaking up, and there was a point that his mother had left and she moved back to New Jersey. So this last time when we broke up, well, not the last time, we broke up, and he took the baby back to New Jersey. So we got back together. He brought him back again. Then we broke up again. He wanted to come back. I told myself, okay, this is not fair to him to be going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you know, because he was raised by his mother. Yes. So, and I knew that she loved him too. And I really think she was never going to let me keep him anyway. The truth be told, okay? So anyway, so I told him, I said, you can come back, but don't bring him because it's not right. Yes. I said, if we stay together, then you can send for him and he can coming.
Right.
Okay, well,
right.
He never came back. So, I lost him for a long time. And just recently, like in the past couple of years, I found him on Facebook. So we kind of like reconnected.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, but because of the age he is there, there's no mother bound, but I keep trying. I keep trying. I text him every now and then. I call him every now and then. And one day I'm going to see him. I'm going to New Jersey and visit him. But,
Amen.
Looks just like his dad. But anyway, so I still love him like a son, even though he hasn't been in my life for a long time. But back to his dad, we used to fight all the time. Okay. And when I was about 27 years old in California, I've been forgetting since I was like in my 30s. So that's why I've got to write stuff down most of the time. I've always had a bad memory. And I'm like, why can't I forget? Why am I having all these memory problems and I'm still young? So I went to the doctor, probably like, hold on. Okay, same thing I did last.
Make sure that computer stays on.
That's just frozen.
Yes.
There she goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, I said I wasn't going to do it. I forgot to plug the computer. Anyway,
it's all right. It's all right.
At
least you noticed, and then we didn't just go away all together. Right. We'd be like,
Right. So anyway, I went to the doctor, and they did one of those neurological tests on my brain. And when I went back for the results, the doctor came back in, and she says, "Have you ever been hit in the head?" As soon as she said it, I remembered this pose right here. Okay, because he used to always try to hit me in the face, and I was like always protecting my face so I wouldn't get hit. So she told me there was a calcification or a cluster of old dried blood right around in here, and she told me that would be enough to cause me early memory lapse during that time.
Wow.
So what I want to say about that, for all these people that's still getting beat on, punched in the head, slapped and kicked and all this other stuff, you don't know what effect that stuff is going to have on your life later on.
Yes.
But you stay and you get all these blows and you don't know what's going on in your body. Maybe you don't feel anything right then. Like, oh yeah, one time he hit me so hard, and you always heard that thing you saw in the little cartoons where people were seeing stars, and you always people say, "Oh, I get hit, I saw stars." One time he hit me so hard, he had punched me in the face, and he punched me so hard that I kind of like blacked out, and I actually saw stars. And that was the relationship. That was a relationship that I had that I said I would never, ever, ever be in, because I saw my mom and dad fight like cats and dogs all the time. And this husband that I had, now when I look back, I think he was doing the same thing my dad did. My dad used to come home, drink, they would have an argument. The next day they would have a fight, and then you wouldn't see him. So when I got married, when this guy worked, he didn't work all the time, but when he did work, by Wednesday, we would have a big argument. Thursday, we might have a knockdown, drag out. Friday, I wouldn't see him.
Yep.
Okay. So when I think about it, that had to be the same thing that my mom used to go to, because that's what we saw. Right. So this was the relationship I said I would never be in. And you just don't know what's going on while you're getting all these kicks and stomps. You don't know the long-term effect that it's going to have on your body.
Absolutely.
So, but mentally, people used to tell me, "Oh, you never gonna have no husband. Nobody gonna marry you with all these kids." So now I'm married. Oh, you wrong. Okay, you wrong. I got 5 kids and I got a husband. Never mind the fact that he didn't support me financially, mentally, or anything like that. So, but he did a lot of running the streets, and I just put up with it. But I was only married to him for like about, I'm gonna say like 2 3/4 years, then it was over.
Right.
Wow.
I've been married twice.
Huh? Well, as I said, did you get married again?
I got married again. I had went to New Jersey, and that's a whole nother story. That part of the story is gonna be in the book. Okay. But I had went to New Jersey, and I met this, not about him, but him too, but just my life while I was in New Jersey. I had met this guy, and I brought him home with me when I got ready. I stayed in California I stayed in New Jersey. I still want to be in California, right? I stayed in New Jersey for almost 3 years. And I had met this guy. I had this job working at this gas station. And I met this guy. And when I got ready to, almost time for me to leave and come back to California, I met him and brought him home with me. And we got married. And that's my third marriage. And that was almost kind of like the same thing, but I didn't know that he was on drugs. But I should have knew, because he told me he was in and out of jail his whole life, you know, and that he had a drug problem, but I didn't know he was on drugs. But when he came to California, he had that same behavior, but I couldn't criticize him because he was doing his thing and I was doing my thing, okay? And our relationship ended basically because the state of New Jersey came back and got him and took him back to New Jersey. Because he was on, you know,
he wasn't supposed to have left the state too.
He actually asked his parole officer, could he leave, and they said no, but he left anyway. He left anyway, and actually when they came and got him, we were broken up. We already broke up, and
right.
They came. So, and I stayed married to this guy for 14 years without getting a divorce. And finally, I stayed married to him for 14 years. And finally, in about 2001, I actually got a divorce. And same thing like with my son, he actually found me on Facebook. Probably since I've been here in Florida, he found me on Facebook. So we started talking and, you know, talking about getting back together, you know, but as I talked to him, now I'm, you know, I'm experienced, I'm real grown now, okay? As I talked to him, I started to hear some of those same
yes,
right? Some of those same conversations that we have. Like when I met him, I was going to real estate school in California. So I left and went to New Jersey. I didn't do anything real estate related. I worked at this gas station. I started off pumping, but then I was there for like 3 weeks and they made me like the shift manager. And so here now I am working at the gas station. I'm all dirty and grimy looking. I'm still cute though, right? But
absolutely. You're always cute. No matter what we do, we cute.
Exactly.
Yeah, this guy that owned this gas station, he exploited us. He made us wear tank tops and little mini skirts. And that was a hot little corner, okay? The car
he was the Hooters gas station before.
Yes,
Hooters.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Okay? That gas station, we had so many customers. It was a Getty gas station. Honey, we made the Getty magazine as the hottest gas station with the most sales in that part of the nation.
Absolutely, you did.
Did, honey, that man exploited us.
Oh.
But anyway, that's where I met my husband at. So now here I am, all dirty and grimy. And I was always telling him, you know, I'm really not like this. You know, I'm studying to get my real estate license. You know, I go to school. I want to be a real estate agent, yada, yada, yada. So, okay, here we are now. We're in California. And now I think the classes, when I come back to California, when I first started studying, you didn't have to go to school. So when I come back, now you got to take just your prerequisite class, like real estate principles, practice, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I go back to school thinking I forgot everything, but I didn't. So now I'm looking a whole lot different. I'm all dressed up. I'm going to school, be a real estate agent, and this man couldn't stand it. He could not stand it. He used to come to my office, burning rubber out the driveway. And he used to always tell me, oh, you don't need me. you need somebody with a suit and a briefcase on. I mean, with a suit on and a briefcase. So now when I'm talking to him a few years ago, thinking about getting back together, I hear some of this same stuff. Mm-hmm. But now I don't need a suit and a briefcase. Now I need somebody with a tie and a suit on. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, this is the same stuff you told me when I was there.
Right. They were stuck back there, and they were trying to bring you right on back with them.
Reel you back in. I had talked to him about a place I wanted to go. Told him I want to visit Africa one time. This is like a few years ago, because I was telling him I wanted to go to Africa. We had this long, drawn out argument about where he was going to be. Do I know how much money it's going to cost to get to Africa and yada, yada, yada. I'm just going to leave him behind. He's supposed to be happy with me going to Africa. So anyway, I started filing all that stuff away, and I just started letting him do all the talking. I shut up. Okay, I shut up and I started letting him do all the talking. And you know what? He knew.
Yes.
He told me that I just talked myself out of a relationship. I said, you sure did.
Yes.
Out of relationship. You know,
Taylor Swift said we are never, ever, ever, ever gonna get back together again.
Ever.
Ever.
But he passed away.
Oh,
wow.
He passed away, and I really feel like he came back in my life not for us to get together.
He needed someone to take care of.
I said, oh yeah, he did. He needs somebody to take care of him. But I didn't feel like, but that wasn't the reason. I feel like we got back together so I could say goodbye to him because he passed away. And he was only in my life for like 2 years.
Wow.
2 years, and then he passed away. So, but outside of all of that, he was the only man that ever came into my life that did something for my kids. Okay. He didn't work all the time, but when he did work, he brought his money home. And that's when, you can tell when things start getting funny, you start hearing something like, oh, I was there and I went to sleep and my money was in my pocket, but when I woke up, it was gone. I started.
Lord
Jesus. You know what, Judy? It's not fun. We're laughing, but that story still gets told. All the time. That story will never get old because it's still being told.
You know what?
Yeah. I didn't believe it. They got the new story now. They buy the pink slips. They know you're making some money. Oh, I got fired today. Maybe I can help you.
What? Wait, what? Wait, you making up a pink slip?
Right.
Yes, that's a big thing.
A whole different way. So, like you said, the story is still getting told, but when he started telling me stuff like that, I didn't believe it. I knew what was going on because, like I said, I had the problem my own self.
Right.
I had a drug problem myself. So I knew what was going on, so I never did believe it. But there are people that they don't know about. I ain't gonna call it the drug industry. Like they never lived that.
They don't know the game. They don't know the game.
That lifestyle, or they did, and they just still want to believe the yoki dope because they don't want to let this man go. He gonna change. I'm a better person. I'm good to him. I cook every day. I clean up. Yeah. He gonna change for me. But the thing is that he has to change for himself, not you.
Amen. And he has to want to change for himself. Exactly. And you're right about that too. As women, Steph and I talk about that all the time because we are caretakers, right? And we are the heart of the home, and we are the heart of relationship. And I always say, I'm that girl. I'm the girl who's like, oh my God, you never experienced this in your life. Let me help you experience this thing. You broke it and broke. But I want to help you experience lavishness when you can't even spell lavish, right? Exactly. You have no idea what that means, but it sounds good. And since I'm going to present it to you on a platter, right, and serve it up to you, why wouldn't you take this ride with me? Because I'm doing it all. I call that when we find people, especially with men, and then we want to take their pants and we want to put it on.
Yeah.
and think that, let me show you how this is done. That is not your job. That is not our job.
I know,
we
because
are not men, and we cannot show a man how to be a man.
And when you have those type of men, you're still wishing you had a man. Okay? You still wishing you had a man, because there's things that only a man could do. Like with my sons, you know, they didn't have fathers. Mm-hmm. You know, out of all the fathers, and they're actually 4. Okay, they're actually 4. Like I said, my first 2 had the same dad, so I thought. Okay, then I had another one that had another father. Then I had another one, another father. But then as time go on, the guy that I was fooling around with, he came back and he claimed my daughter. You know, so there are actually 4 fathers, because he claimed her, and they look just alike. They look just alike. Found her on Facebook. Okay, found her on Facebook. So, but they didn't have fathers in the house. Mm-hmm. The closest thing they had to a father in the house was the one I just told you about, that I married, and was the only person that supported my kids. Mm-hmm. He's still today, they're gonna call him dad.
Amen.
Because he's the only father that they know. Yes. You know, they loved him. They know he ain't live his life right, but he stood up for him. He fought for him. He protected him. You know, he taught my sons how to work on cars, you know, because he was the mechanic, you know, so he was good in that instinct. Yes. So they did get some form, even though it was just for a short period, you know, so they did get to experience what it is to have a man in the house, you know, for a little while, you know, and like, so that's who they call dad to this day, even though he's not here right now, you know, that's who they call dad. So, but as far as raising boys, I didn't know how to do that. I did not know how to do that, but I hear stories of women. They did a really, really good job of making sure there was a proper guy in their son's life, or either they made sure that, you know, their sons got in sports and things like that. Man, when my kids was in sports, I think I probably only went to one of their games, because when they went to sports and stuff like that, that was my time. You know, that's where I wanted them to go, so they can get out of the house, so I could do my little stuff that I was doing. You know, so those are the times that my kids were younger that I just really wasn't supporting them, because, you know, it was all about me, what I wanted to do, what I thought I should be doing, not about them, you know, and that's a mistake that I made, you know, not raising my kids, you know, properly. So even today, there are some struggles they have, because, you know, they haven't had that proper foundation. And so when you're having all these kids, you don't think about, you think they need a father. Matter of fact, you think they got a father, you know, because he's your boyfriend. You know, he my first love. You know, he gonna be with me. He gonna help me raise this kid. We gonna do this together. So you think they got a father, but then shortly after, I mean, some of them do hang around. I ain't gonna down all these guys. Matter of fact, I'm not downing any of them, because they're kids too. Yes. Okay. So you think you're around, so you don't think that you have to have the responsibility of raising a young man by yourself. You know, you got to do daughters. Okay. So you do the best you can do that. But you don't think about all the things it takes to raise a young man. Okay. Number one, who gonna show him how to go to the bathroom? That's when it really hits you.
Right.
I show him how to go to the bathroom, you know. Right. So, but
and all the things that comes along with being a male child and being a male, right. and when they find themselves, you know, Steph and I laugh about this because we both have sons, right? And so I remember when my son started taking these extra long showers.
Right.
And my husband at the time was not my ex-husband, my children's father, was involved in their life, but I married another man who was in the house with them. So, you know, he taught them a lot of things. He taught my son how to fight, taught my son how to stand up for himself.
Right, mine too. Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, my thing was, so my son starts taking these extra long showers, and I'm like, what's he doing in there? So my son would say to me, oh, Mom, I'm meditating, right?
Right,
and my ex-husband goes, girl, he not meditating, he in there masturbating. That's what he doing.
Yeah, he meditating all right.
Oh my God, like what? He goes, yeah, babe. He's like, a shower does not take 2 hours. And it's definitely don't take 2 hours in the dark. And I was like, well, I'll be done. Never even thought about it, right? Because just thinking, if he's doing that, you're going to do that in your bedroom, right? Behind your closed doors. But yeah, so there are things
you want to think about them doing that. You know,
no,
it didn't occur to me at all.
And then he was watching porn and I was like, wait, what? You know, like what is going on? So it was my ex-husband who had the conversation with him to say, hey, watching porn will ruin you. And he's like, you need to stop. And he did. He had a serious conversation with him about how it was too much overstimulation, the wrong type of stimulation, how it was not reality, this sort of thing. And so it really, you know, it really helped my son a lot. And I just always think, yeah, there's a lot of times where I was like, I would have not known what to do with my son. I mean, I knew how to love him. I knew how to care for his physical being, but that emotional, that I'm a boy, I'm going to school, I'm being bullied, I'm being teased. Guys think I'm soft. What do you do with that? So I agree with you. There needs to be men that, whether it's uncles or grandfathers or really good friends that you trust with your children. Let's start there. That you trust with your children.
Be the wrong ones all the time.
You know, to be able to make that impact into our children's lives when there is not a father in the house.
Because I did. I'm gonna speak for myself. I didn't know how to deal with it. I remember one time, one of my sons, he's my second son, he came to me, he wanted to do something. I'm like, no, you're not doing that. No, you're not doing that. And he looked at me, he said, Mom, I'm 12 years old. Now, he was still a kid, okay? But I still was treating him like this little teeny weeny little baby.
Yes.
And it just hadn't even occurred to me that things was changing in his head and his mind. But when he said that to me, it clicked. I let him do it, but it clicked to me. I'm like, you don't know what to do with these boys. You don't. One time I was sick and my boys, they were just running amok. They was doing all kinds of stuff that I just couldn't even believe they was doing. They had got involved in drugs, gang activities, you know, all the situations that I felt like I had put them in. You know, I mean, they're grown now, but I think some of the environments, I actually placed them in myself. So I had, it's that time I told you I was in the hospital with that lady when I stopped smoking, using drugs, all that stuff. Anyway, my sons, they would come visit me. And after they would leave, my blood pressure would be all high. I would be stressed out. It would be like a basket case, and the doctor would come in and he would take my blood pressure. And he's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, my son was here. You know, they was arguing." And then he looked at me, and maybe it was the wrong thing to do. I don't know, but I didn't know what else to do. He looked at me. He asked me how old they was, and I told him. He said, "You have to let them go." He said, "You have to let them go and keep them in prayer." Because and to me, honestly, like I said, I don't know about totally letting them go, but that's actually what I did because they wasn't listening to me anyway. They was doing whatever they wanted to do. Half the time, I didn't even know where they was. At least on occasion with each one of them, they told me they almost got shot. These are things I never knew because I never knew where they were. I would tell them they can't go somewhere. They would go, or either I just wasn't home myself, you know. So when he told me I had to let them go, that was the time that I had got clean, okay? And that's what I did. I prayed about it. And I asked God to keep his blood over my sons, over all my kids, but especially my sons, because they was living that life, okay? And I asked God to keep them in prayer and cover them in prayer because I'm being honest with you, God. I don't know what else to do. Right. I don't. I can't chain them down to a chair because one of them gonna get loose and let the other ones loose. Okay, so
the reality of the situation.
Yeah, so I didn't know what else to do, and that's what I did. I let them go. Most of the time, I didn't see them. I didn't know where they was. They might have been in jail. Oh, two of them have been in jail. One was in jail a little bit more than the others. But I let them go, and I started to work on me. You know, I started to work on myself getting my brain clear. First of all, I had to get the drug out of my system, go through withdrawal and all this other stuff. And I didn't even really know what withdrawal was, but that's what I actually did. I was staying at my brother's house and I was in his room and I was going through all the stuff by myself. And that's what I did. And I didn't get no sleep. I was up all night. I'm still a night owl to this day. You know, I don't know if that's all it started, because I used to be up all night long doing stuff, doing nothing, you know. So back then, the whole house would be asleep and I would be in the room tossing, turning, sweating, just going through the withdrawals, whatever I had to do to get through. And I made it through.
Amen. Yes, you
Amen.
did.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yes, you did.
How was that? You know, it's like you
today,
take ownership of all these things. Let me ask you a question. So how are your children doing today?
My children are doing okay. Like I said, some of them, they still have their struggles that they're going through, you know, but especially my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's doing well. My son's doing well. I had one son that was really struggling for a few years, and I'm so proud of him now. He's doing well. He's going to church. He
Amen.
works. You know, they're doing really well. You know, they're trying to just straighten up their life. If it's unraveled, they're working on the steps that they need to do to get everything taken care of, you know. So they're doing well. I got one daughter. She has a very good job. She works in a city official office. I ain't gonna say which one. Okay. So he works in the city official office. I have another son starting his own business. The other one has a job, but one of my sons, you know, he's a little bit sick, but he's still trying to. He's a lot sick, but you know, he's still trying to make a name for himself and get himself together. So they're doing what they can with the life they have, you know, try to make things straight. But basically, I'm proud of all of them, because just like me, they fell down, but they got up. Yes. You know, I love that song. I used to play it all just over and over and over and over and over again, and it helped me stay up too. So, but they're all doing well.
That's real.
That's real.
Mm-hmm. Yes, really.
So you just the relationships that you get in, it's like you got to protect your life like it's a piece of gold. You got to watch who you let in. You got to watch who you let in. Yes. Like right now, I'm single. I want a relationship, but I'm not. I mean, I could have one if I wanted to go back to my past and just pick up guys that don't want to date me, you know, and that was what I lived with. Nobody wanted to take me out on a date. Like I wasn't good enough to date. So if I want guys that just gonna fight me, not support me, mentally and physically abuse me. If I wanted somebody like that, I can have that. And I'm not saying everybody I run across is like that, but the thing is, I got that little protection mode up. It's like it's hard for somebody to get in. Yeah. It's hard for somebody to get in. People tell me I'm too picky, but I just don't know who to trust with this valuable.
You should be picky.
No, and you should be picky.
Life here. Yeah, I don't know who to trust. Right. And I'm too old. Like, my birthday is coming up next week.
Yay!
Okay? It's gonna be my 68th birthday.
Ooh, so that beautiful queen. Nobody knows you are 68. You stop it. My 68th birthday. Nobody knows you are 68. No, man.
Nice. Yeah.
Birthday.
Beautiful. So that is so nice.
Why would I go back to that at this age? Why would I want to live that life again? You know, I mean,
at any age.
Well, I do got some things that I did that reverted me back to that life, you know, so, and some things I'm not proud of, you know, but, you know, I just did that. But, you know, as far as like protecting my heart, you know, I feel like I do a good job of that, maybe too, but I mean, I got to give somebody to try. But whenever I do, I know that, no, that's not the one.
Yes.
You know.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't like interrogate them, you know, this, that, and the other. I let them talk.
Right. Okay? And that's the part. We have to learn how to listen, because if you listen long enough, you will hear what they didn't even mean to tell you.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. Right.
It's like, if you just listen long enough.
Men like to talk more than women. And
they
you
do.
Let them talk and you listen. And the biggest thing is you have to stay off your back. because once
Yes.
they start giving you orgasms, you in love.
Right. That's it.
All good sense goes out. All good sense goes out the window.
That's right.
You got. Let's have a conversation. Like, especially you talk about at this age, you've had sex, I've had sex. You know, if it was so important, then why you not together with the last person you had the hot sex with? Okay.
Right.
Let's build something else.
Right.
Why you can't go back to that black book that you used to have?
Exactly. You know what I mean? People get no, because you gotta have the hot sex. You have this. Well, why aren't you still with them? What happened? What missed in that? So obviously something.
But you know what we sometimes forget is that the older we get, hot sex become warm sex. And, hot sex becomes, you know, like at the Krispy Kreme, right? The light comes on every day for the hot donuts. Yeah, the older you get, the light comes on sometimes for hot sex, right?
But then too,
in your mind, you're saying, yes, I need hot sex every day. Your body be like, you go right ahead. I'm gonna be here when you get back.
And especially the men, like in this age group, like you like, is it really still like that? You know, I don't know. Do you need to help?
Is it lukewarm sex or is it really hot sex? But the thing about it,
are the blue pill sex?
Well, but here's my thing. In maturity, right? We learn that the physical is not what it all was. It's
not,
right?
It's not.
Because
it's not important.
The physical attraction is what a lot of time causes us to find ourselves in situations where we are looking ourselves back in the mirror going, how did I get here? Right?
How did I get here?
Because we don't take time to really process people. We don't take time to process our own feelings when we meet that person who we go, oh my God, look, they make my stomach jump. They make my hands sweat. So Steph goes, when you meet people like that, you should run.
I do. If I see them and I'm like, oh, he is so cute. I just become the shy little person.
Gotta go.
Yes, Steph said you should run. Steph said if they make your hands sweat and your stomach turn, you should be going in the other direction.
and not saying that they're all like that, but you don't know. Most of the time when they like that, first of all, you know everybody want them.
Yeah.
Okay. You know everybody want them. And I just really think, and something like that, now this is where my maturity has come into play. Something like that, you meet all these guys, they do all this stuff, do stuff like that. But first of all, are they godly? Okay? Are they godly? Do they believe in keeping a job? You know, do they believe in, supporting mentally and financially, their family? You got to look at stuff like that. And I just feel like you need to keep relationships spiritual. That's how I feel. You need to keep relationships spiritual because that's actually how God intended it to be. When I decided I was going to stop giving myself to this person, that person, I just thought about it. I don't even want everybody seeing me that way. Hearing all my sounds and all that other stuff, because all they do after it's all over, they forget about you. Not all of them. Okay. Yeah. Now they have heard your innermost and felt your innermost precious part of your body.
Yes, your vulnerability.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, now they've experienced that. Now, if you get somebody that's gonna stick around, that's good, but still.
Right. If it's gonna be a stick and move, no. And you're right about that.
Are they gonna marry you?
Right. Are they gonna marry you? Are they just hanging around for because it's hot sex? Right. Because you're that girl who you're the woman who wants to give it all, to give the world to them, because we like to listen to people's stories and feel like, oh my God, I feel bad for you and I want to help you. Meanwhile, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna help myself to you. And as we talk about all the time, the thing about a woman, we give ourselves away to people.
Right.
That if I could, there are people I need to go back to and say, can I have that back? Can I have that back?
Something right there, right?
Can I have it back? Can I have all of that back? Because you know why? You didn't deserve it. You weren't even worthy of it. But you didn't take it. You didn't take it. I gave it.
Worthy of anything. You weren't worthy of any of it.
You weren't worthy. And so that's the thing we got to remember about ourselves, is to remember when we are giving away pieces of ourselves, like Tootie just said, I'm sleeping with him, I'm sleeping with him, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Oh, you sleeping with her. I don't care who you sleeping with. Just realize that every time you engage with somebody, you are leaving pieces of yourself with those people. Right?
Exactly.
And those people are leaving pieces of them with you. And that's true. And when those pieces don't match,
you're creating them soul ties.
Yes.
Soul ties are real.
Yes.
So every time you see that person, you feel something, you know, because it's a soul tie. It's a soul tie. That is the most spiritual connected thing that you could do with somebody is give them your body.
Yeah.
There's a song that we sing at church. I think the name of it is like "Give Myself Away." It's like, give myself away.
Yeah.
You can use me. Okay, that's the only person I want to give myself away.
Amen.
To God.
Come on through.
That's
Come on through.
The only person I want to give myself away to. Okay, that's
Amen.
it. But in reality, that's what I had been doing. You know, like you said, give myself away. But no, that song got a whole nother meaning to me. You know, so
well, you know, it all comes down to like love. When you look at the whole big picture, it's all about love. And it's like the reality, you know, because it comes to a point, you know, like my mother started having kids at 17. So it comes to a point that you have, and it was the same thing, you know, love, you know what I mean? But it comes to the point that you have to realize that love is not in a other person. Love is within yourself. Right. Love is not, my mother had 8 kids. You're looking for love through your children. Like these little babies, they're going to grow up to be adults. You know what I mean?
They are.
Exactly. You can't look for them. Then you're teaching them like, because they're watching you. Oh, you need love in other people. No, you have to find love within yourself. If you're looking for love externally, you're always going to be disappointed. Even when you're thinking about your children, you have to learn yourself. You teach people how to love you by how you love yourself.
Yes.
Right.
So you never love yourself. But when you love yourself and truly love yourself, that's when you find the person to love you because you love yourself, because you taught them how to love you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
And even when you're young and you're having kids and things like that, and this is what I didn't do, well, not for my mental anyway, you got to make time to try to think about yourself and how you're going to take care of these kids, support these kids, guard your heart. You got to think about all those things. When I was growing up, and even still now, when I see a young girl that has a whole bunch of kids, you know, it's just my heart goes out to her. Sometimes I speak to them. You know, I saw this young lady one time, she had about 6 kids. Okay. She had about 6 kids, and I just went over to her and talked to her and heard a little bit of her story. But my purpose of going over there to reach out to her, to let her know, you're going to make it through.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to go through some struggles. Okay. You're going to have some hard times with some of these kids, not all of them. Maybe, I don't know. But you are going to make it through. And one day, when they're all gone, you're going to look back and you're going to have to deal with you. Okay. While they're out making their lives for themselves, you still going to have to be somebody. You still going to have to try to make something of yourself, you know, start trying to love yourself while you have the kids, because the kids will see that, you know, they'll see how you treat yourself and how you pour some of that love on them too. You know, I always say, if I could go back and raise my kids all over again, I would be a whole different kind of mother. And I know my kids know that because they know how I am now. You know, I'm still not the best mother, but you know, they know how I am. They know how I love them, and they know that I have love in me to give. So, and even then I had love to give. It just wasn't enough for all those kids, you know? So, but you can still make it. You can still make it no matter how many kids you got. Only thing you need is desire. You need a lot of prayer, okay? You need some type of spiritual belief in God, you know, and you need to pray to him. Just help him to just help you get through. Surround yourself with people that's going to encourage you. not the ones that's going to knock you down because you got a bunch of kids. Okay. Those people, you don't want to be around them because they don't really have nothing for you. Okay. Those are going to be the ones that's going to constantly be talking behind your back, you know, cursing your name and all this other stuff. Okay. Just surround yourself with encouraging people that are about something, you know, maybe the ones that's going to encourage you, because throughout my life, I have had older women that would latch on to me, teach me how to, you know, help the baby with the fever and stuff like that, you know, after my mom was gone, you know, so you need those type of people, you know, some little auntie type of person, you know, that will help you and encourage you. Then you need people in your life. You got to have somebody for something. You need people in your life that's going to help you and let you know that you need an education. Okay. So what, you didn't finish school. Okay. You still could be something. You can still go back to school. But if you don't, you still could make something of yourself. Okay. Everybody that's somebody don't have a BA or AA. You know what I mean? A lot of them that have those degrees don't have anything. Okay. So whatever situation you're in as far as your education, you can still make it. You can still be somebody. Take something that's a desire in your heart and use that to encourage somebody else. You know, that's going to be a turning point for you too, by encouraging other people. Like you said earlier, it's a little emotional healing, you know, and I'm just praying that this somebody that's watching me right now, okay, that's going through the things that I've talked about, raising all these kids, maybe your kids are running all around the house right now. Just know that where there's a will, there's a way. You know, you can make it. You know, take this message. If you got some little kids, some daughters that got a bunch of kids, or maybe if you want to show it to your kids at school or things like that, take this message and let them know what I went through. Let me be the example of what can happen if you start being promiscuous too early. You know, if you start just giving yourself away, let me be that example. That's why I'm here today, you know, to educate, okay, encourage, and discourage at the same time, and also give some hope. You know, God loves you. You got to love yourself too, you know, just to encourage people. That's why I'm here, and that's what I want to do. And I just hope my message has encouraged somebody. And like I said earlier, if you think I told too much or I wouldn't tell that, I don't care what you say. Okay. It's still my story, whether you like it or not. Okay. And maybe you don't like it, but maybe the person next door heard it and it helped them, you know? So, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And you know what, on that, thank you. We're going to end right there, because there is nothing else to add to that. As to what you have said today and what you have shared with us. And we appreciate you so much. And so we love you. And yes, I do believe your story is going to help somebody else.
I wanted to help somebody. I really do. That's what I'm saying. I wanted to help somebody. I really do. And let me just say one thing, you know, I am, if you need me to speak to somebody, if you want me to come speak to a school, a group of women, Amen. A group of teenage girls, if you got some organizations or something like that, I'm available. If you want to speak to me, you just let me know. Do I tell them how to get in touch with me, or you guys?
Absolutely. No, you can share.
Okay, absolutely. You can send me an email. You can send me an email at foxydivas50@gmail.com. And that's FOXYDIVAS 50, because I used to be 50, at gmail.com. Okay, foxydivas@gmail.com. Or you can let my sweet honey bunny sisters know, and they know how to get in touch with me.
Amen. Absolutely.
To encourage.
Yes, okay? Be encouraged.
All right.
Thank you, ladies. I love you. Have a blessed day, honey bunnies. Yes.
Before you go, so just share your coaching information.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. So so you can find me at idolovecoaching@gmail.com. Of course, you can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Anchor to get in touch with me as well. And yes, I am available for coaching and would love to have the ability to help you along your journey, just like you will be helping me along my journey.
That's right. That's what it's about. Open hands.
Steph?
Okay. I'm a style coach and a divorce coach. You can find me on mymentor.life. You also find me on Spotify and Anchor.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes.
Stephanie Deani Green.
Yes. And we're also on Apple Podcasts. So wherever there are podcasts, you can find us on other platforms as well. So we thank you.
And all three of us are realtors.
Absolutely. That's right. We sure are. We share that. We're the Honey Bunny Realtors.
All right.
Honey Bunny Realtors.
Oh, let me tell you guys one more thing. After our taping last week, I did start my own channel called Miss Tootie, The Everything Show. And I'm calling it The Everything Show.
Miss Tootie.
That's right. I'm calling it
I'm going to tune in.
All right. I'm calling it The Everything Show because I want to talk about everything. And I don't want to start a whole bunch of channels, pregnancy over here.
Right.
Over
nice.
Here. Okay.
I love it.
Okay, and then also I want to invite you guys to be my special guest.
That's what I'm saying.
We're ready. We are ready.
That's right. So you guys can tell how you got started, how you started posting, why you started your channel, whatever you guys want to talk about. I would like to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. You love that.
You guys are going to be my first. You're going to be my first guest.
We ready, Miss Tootie, The Everything Show. Let's go.
Okay.
Nice. Oh my God.
Guys, this is what life is all about. This is truly what life is all about. When you share, you don't judge, and you don't realize how you elevate, inspire, and move other people to come out and live life. Right. This is what life is all about. Tootie, thank you.
Well,
I love you.
I only got one video on there last time because I did it like right after we taped last time. So now my second video is going to be right after we tape today. So,
all right. Yes. Well, listen here. You just let us know when and we will be ready to go.
I will. I'm going to be my first guest.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Definitely.
You guys be blessed. Have an awesome rest of the week. And we thank you all so much.
All right. Nice waking up with you.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Love you.
Love you guys.